Today, federal prosecutors formally charged ex-Riverfront Conservancy CFO William Smith in a 19-page criminal complaint laying out how they say Smith committed wire fraud and bank fraud to siphon away $40 million from the nonprofit. Also, it goes into significant detail into how they say he was able to cover his tracks. If you read through this document, you think, they can't make this. You just can't make this stuff up. Rod Maloney live on this story tonight. They also set bond for Smith today, Rod.
Yeah, $10,000 unsecured bond, and they have some extra restrictions on that. But yes, Devin, it's eye-popping. $40 million stolen from the Riverfront Conservancy, charged with going ahead and fixing the riverfront downtown, right? Well, read this complaint, and the feds will tell you he was actually just beautifying his own life on lavish spending on things like jewelry, furniture, and trips. This is 51-year-old Detroit native William A. Smith in the white running suit with hoodie and COVID mask in an attempt to conceal his identity. He'd just emerged from federal pretrial services, who affixed a GPS tether to his ankle as part of his modified bond conditions. He'd worked as a Riverfront Conservancy chief financial officer since 2011, and the feds say his embezzlement started a year later. Smith's family picked him up outside the federal courthouse after his arraignment. And this is Smith in happier times at a recent Riverfront concert.
Why they skeet off like that? Hey, people are funny, man. People are hilarious.
Event. In court today, the federal government told the magistrate Smith owns homes in Northville and Redford. They said that he also runs a home rental company and an unnamed restaurant. The complaint claims that he defrauded the Conservancy in two different ways. First, by setting up a business Platinum American Express account, where he funneled Conservancy money to pay the monthly bills that ran into the thousands. They say he also started his own vendor company called the Joseph Group to funnel still more money. And then, when the money appeared to have run out, they say Smith opened up a $5 million line of bank credit. The complaint also claims Smith made just under $15 million in Amex e-payments, then falsifying bank statements for the Conservancy accountant that he'd met quarterly with at a Honey Baked Ham restaurant parking lot in Ann Arbor, handing over only paper documents, and went so far as telling the bank that the Conservancy board approved his spending. Now, the feds say the Conservancy board knew nothing of this, that he'd covered his tracks, and so that's how this all got started. Now, you're wondering, okay, what does the Conservancy have to say about this? Well, Matt Cullen is the head of the Conservancy, and he put out a statement this afternoon saying, "We commend the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office for the quick and thorough start to their investigation, which led today to the arrest of William Smith. We will continue to cooperate with law enforcement to ensure justice is brought against this nefarious scheme to subvert layers of financial controls and embezzle resources from one of the greatest waterfront projects in the United States." They also went first to Kim Worthy's office. She went to the feds, and that's how this case wound up here. Devin, back.
So you start going through these charges and adding things up. What kind of jail time could Smith end up facing if he's convicted here, Rod?
Yeah, if convicted, 30 years.
30 years, boy, and still so much. I mean, we're talking about thousands of dollars in expenses in many cases. We're talking about millions of dollars still that need to be accounted for. Wow. We'll continue to follow it, obviously. All right, Rod.
Millions of dollars stolen by an ex-CFO that was in charge of rebuilding the Detroit Riverfront here in my hometown. If you are unaware, the Riverfront property here in Michigan, and more specifically in downtown Detroit, has been like a place of like culture. It's been a place that they've been focusing on for the past couple of years, and they've really been changing the way it looks, and they've really been changing just the overall theme of downtown Detroit. And the Riverfront was supposed to be a big multi-million-dollar part of this project, right? Of this rebuild of downtown Detroit. They're basically, you're going to get people that say that they're basically trying to gentrify it, and they are. You go downtown, you'll see a lot more white people that have joined or that are frequenting the downtown area, which, you know, you can get mad about it and you can talk about it and you can say how you don't like it as much as you want to. But my question is, what did y'all do? What did y'all do with the nice shit that you had when you had it? As a kid growing up, I remember going to the parks in my neighborhood and we could not keep a rim up. We could not keep a basketball rim up. We couldn't keep the soccer field up. We couldn't keep any of that shit up. We couldn't keep tennis nets up because Negroes would just come in and just cut shit down and just destroy it and be destructive in the community for no fucking reason. So when you had the time and when you had the opportunity to build up your community, what'd you do with it? You destroyed it. So the government came in and said, all right, listen, we're about to reshape the entire downtown Detroit area. This is about to look like nothing that you've ever recognized before. We're about to put so many millions into this project and we're about to redo this. And what do? They decide to put a black man. They give him the heads up. They give him a good look. They say, all right, we're going to put a black man at the head of this thing as the CFO and make him the chief officer over it. And what do? Embezzled $40 million. Let's read a little bit more on this before we continue. Wow. Federal prosecutors unsealed a criminal complaint Wednesday accusing William Smith, the fired chief financial officer of the Detroit Riverfront Conservancy, of embezzling almost $40 million during an alleged years-long scheme and spending the money on airline tickets, limousines, jewelry, and more. Have we learned nothing from Kwame Kilpatrick? Did we learn nothing from Tiffany Henyard? This sounds like Tiffany Henyard all over again. He's just not in the public eye. Well, he is now. The criminal case alleges the 51-year-old Novi resident who surrendered Wednesday morning orchestrated the scheme as early as November of 2012 to steal millions of dollars belonging to a nonprofit organization that has led a years-long revitalization of Detroit's riverfront. Smith is charged with bank and wire fraud, a 20-year felony. The criminal case describes shopping sprees and eye-popping numbers, including 8-figure credit card bills and 8-figure unauthorized payments to a Smith company. The complaint also describes an elaborate cover-up involving altered documents and an old-school handoff of financial records and a honey-baked ham parking lot between the chief financial officer of an esteemed Detroit nonprofit with $170 million in assets and under. Wow. You can't. Listen, I don't even, how do you think? They said that he started this 1 year on the job. 1 year on the job and he got to work. 1 year on the job and this guy decided, you know what? It's about time. I spent enough time here that it's time for me to start embezzling money out. What? Again, did we learn nothing from Kwame Kilpatrick? The thief and crook that Detroit residents know, infamously know now, most known for being a tyrant and a menace to the community behind the scenes. And you go and you get in this prestigious position. We're not talking about a base level employee. We're talking about a CFO. CFOs make a ton of money as it is. That wasn't enough for him though. He said, nah, I'm not really comfortable with my salary. I'm not really getting paid enough. They said that this dude has residents all over the city. He has residents all over the city and has the nerve to do real estate. So there's no telling how much money he actually involved. I'm pretty sure they're going to track all that down though. They're about to track all of that down. The federal magistrate judge R. Stephen Whalen released Smith on a $10,000 unsecured bond. It's pretty low if you ask me, following a brief federal court hearing Wednesday afternoon in downtown Detroit. You saw him walking out of there with his hoodie on. Smith appeared in court wearing a white hooded tracksuit, black surgical mask, and was shackled at the waist. For a while, he was seated next to Jabril Pratt, the Detroit man accused of being a foreign terrorist linked to the Islamic State. Robert A. Moran, an assistant U.S. attorney, argued in court Wednesday that Smith's alleged embezzlement scheme that stole $40 million over a 13-year period constituted evidence of a flight risk. So basically, he ain't going nowhere. Federal prosecutors wanted Smith to be subject to a strict curfew and wear a GPS tether, among other restrictions on his bond. But the magistrate judge said because Smith has no prior criminal history, it would be unusual to further restrict his bond. Whalen agreed to prohibit Smith from entering into any new loan or financial credit transactions as a condition of his release from federal custody. Smith also must hand in his U.S. passport and will not be allowed to possess a firearm. Man, listen. This dude is done. Now it's just waiting. Now you just waiting to go to. I hope he got all his affairs in order. The former Conservancy CFO displayed little emotion during his first appearance as a court official described him as currently unemployed and owning a restaurant and a rental property. You could best believe the black community going to find out what those rental properties and restaurants are. The court set a preliminary examination for 1 p.m. on June 26th. The court appearance comes hours after the FBI was present early Wednesday morning for a raid at Smith's home. 2 bangs were heard around 6 a.m. They got started early. Pow, pow. And authorities stayed there until around 10:30 a.m. So they was there for over 4 hours during the raid. The FBI had a large moving truck and was seen moving boxes out of the house, a witness told the Detroit News. That means that they had tons of information. That means that they came there with tons of information already. You cooked. The board of the Detroit Riverfront Conservancy fired Smith as CFO on Friday, alleging financial improprieties. There it is. That became more clear in the criminal complaint that prosecutors revealed Wednesday. The criminal charges describe one of the largest fraud schemes in recent Detroit history as were filed approximately 3 weeks after investigators were first notified about the alleged embezzlement. A remarkably quick turnaround for a federal criminal investigation involving allegations of this size and scope. Why they can't do the same thing to Tiffany Hingard? Why they can't get her up out of there? There was no immediate comment from Smith's lawyer. The alleged fraud went undetected for more than a decade, even though the nonprofit is overseen by some of the region's top finance and business professionals and bankrolled by Southeast Michigan's leading philanthropies. This makes you wonder if there are other people higher up that were involved in this, and you can bet your ass that they're going to find them if there was. The Conservancy's mission is to provide access to the Detroit's International Riverfront and redevelop a more than 5-mile stretch from the Ambassador Bridge almost to Belle Isle. Yeah, 2 iconic places in downtown Detroit. Listen, I'm going to follow this and keep up with this because there's going to be, I'm sure, a ton more of information that we get as this rolls out. And I believe that more people are going to come to light that were behind this. But this guy is absolutely cooked. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this in the comments. Embezzled over $40 million after becoming the CFO ahead of a project to basically redevelop the downtown Detroit area. And now, why did you need $40 million? Y'all let me know what y'all think. I'll see y'all later.